ALO. I'm an artist from Italy, but I've been in London for 10 years, so I'm a Londoner actually.
You definitely are a Londoner, because I've been covering your work since about 2013.
Yes.
And I've seen you evolve from those little pieces on the street to things like this amazing piece.
Exactly. I mean, my work has evolved in many ways, because my main work is the studio work and is developed during these years, and at the same time the street work has developed as well, because I started painting a lot non-permission walls, and I've been painting like that for many years, and recently, for many reasons, I started to paint on a bigger scale. But the main reason is that I had the necessity of of trying to make my work on a larger scale, and London is the perfect city in order to do that. And actually it's also a challenge for many reasons, finding new tools in order to transform what is actually an artwork of the size of a normal painting in something much bigger, like 4 meters. And so that's in general what I've been doing in London in the past 10 years.
You've been doing a lot. I mean, I do remember those little tiny portraits that you did originally. When you just came over, I think you'd not been in the city for a couple of weeks, and suddenly all your artwork just kept appearing, and everyone was asking who was this guy. You know, why did you decide to make the trip in the first place to London to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I came to London right in order to work as an artist, and it was just a feeling, like intuition. I mean, I knew that London would have loved me and to develop my style, so it was an intuition. Then actually the difference is that I don't count. I mean, my roots are in the street, but from an artistic point of view, even if I'm not into art schools, but my masters has always been, many painters like Picasso, Matisse. So, I mean, my connections are a bit different than what usually is linked to street art, that is mostly pop art and something like screen printing. So probably this different approach has made people curious about my work in the first place, I suppose.
Oh, it was definitely different. I mean, and it still is different. I mean, I'm looking at the piece behind you, and it's really, really striking. It's colourful, it's bright, it's impactful, and it's on a big wall, like you're saying. So tell me about this piece that you've done.
I mean, first I have to say that I'm really focused on colors, and I think that colors make the painting, and color contrast. I really work and develop a lot the idea of colors in a painting. This specific painting is inspired by, when I was in Paris, because I've been 10 years in London, but I moved for a year in Paris, so I know Paris quite well. And in the underground, in the metro, I used to see a lot of African women with these kind of colorful dresses, and a lot of them. And I mean, they were like, I think they come from different areas of Africa than the African women in London, because I've never seen this kind of dresses in London. And that captured my attention. And so that's not a specific woman, but it's a kind of a mix of memories of these women I used to see in Paris.
Is that similar with a lot of your work then? It's like mixtures of people that you're seeing, and you're thinking, actually, how can I represent a particular group or represent a particular group of people that I've seen? Is that how you think?
Yeah, there are. Yeah, I think that's right, and I tend to represent what captures my attention, and at the same time I try to get a bit deeper in the psychology of the character I represent. So many times it's a mix of people that capture my attention in the street around. Sometimes it can be an actual portrait of a person I know, But yeah, so there's this mix of representing a group of people, but also the deeper psychology of something I imagine of that person, and probably there's my psychology involved for sure as well into that. And at the same time, yeah, the use of colors in order to stick all these things together. Yeah.
So looking at the technique then, how you employ because it's a big wall. When you think of street art like this, you think of spray paint, but this doesn't look like it's been done with spray paint. So what's your technique? What do you use?
I use mostly brushes, acrylics, and markers, and I mix these two kind of things. I really respect the spray can artist because it's very tough technique. It's just a different technique. I mean, and we go back to what I said earlier. I mean, as I start much more from as my art thesis from a painter's background. So for me it was natural to use brushes. Then, because it was a very classical approach, I started to mix, modern markers like Molotov and this stuff, and that's it. So I tried to do something with painting, but related to my time. But I really respect I don't use spray can personally, but I really respect the art made with spray cans because it's a very hard technique. I enjoy that anyway, but it's not my technique.
Is that why you think, because you use that, markers and acrylics, that you started off quite small? Because it must be quite difficult to scale that when you're using that. I mean, to go from a small portrait to something like this, it must be a different sort of challenge.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, I painted a long time like a normal scale because my technique is quite long to develop. So I mean, now I'm very fast in doing that, but it's quite detailed. So, and at the same time, I've been a long time really focused on painting with no permission. Then at a certain point, I felt the necessity of painting on a larger scale, and okay, in that case you need permission, and of course you need to develop. I mean, it's a challenge from many points of view because then you need different tools in order to make what was normal size to such a bigger scale. But yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah.
Tell me about the show that you got. You got a show coming up at BSMT Space, which is the excellent street art gallery in Dalston. And so tell us about that show and how and what we're going to be expecting to see.
The exhibition. I mean, I'm very pleased to work with that gallery because I really respect that gallery. They grew a lot in the last few years, and honestly, I think it's the best gallery in the East End in London right now.
Agreed. Yeah.
And they are very open-minded, so they don't have problem to showcase many different kind of styles and artists. And they show came because I know them since a long time. Then we always been in touch, and so we had this idea of having a solo show. And I mean, I'm very happy to be working and setting up that with them. At the same time, and I mean, I had a lot of works, studio works to like store that I mean, those kind of works that I prefer not to sell and to keep, because sometimes my indoor works, I mean, I want people to see them live because they are much different than seeing them in a picture or Instagram, And so we made a selection with them, and we are in the final steps in order to finish the setup.
So is this a collection of works from over the years that you've just thought of, you've liked, you've loved, but you thought actually it wasn't right to exhibit them at the time, and now you're bringing them all together?
I mean, actually, it, I mean, I have quite a wide production of paintings, so there is a part that I prefer, yeah, to keep for the right moment in order to exhibit them, and so I had a chance with them, and so I selected some of them, yeah. Anyway, because of the quarantine, you know, some exhibition, and because I was supposed to do the show earlier, so some exhibition were postponed, and so I had more paintings than usual. So yeah, so
I was just going to ask you about that actually, because you're putting on an exhibition, and as we talk, you know, there's social distancing rules in the galleries, and it's very difficult. It must be very difficult for a gallery to put on a show. And normally in this type with a show like yours, you'll have loads of people around, and it'll be you know, it'll be a fun event. It'll be a really good event, and you'll be able to talk and showcase the work. What's the difference? How are you presenting this work now in this pandemic?
You know what? I mean, we talked a lot. I talked a lot with them, with the gallery, in order to think about this exhibition. And I mean, yeah, there was, at first I was undecided if it was the case with the new restriction to do that, but at the same time, I think that because this situation, I mean, nobody knows how long it's gonna last. So, I mean, I think if an artist or a gallery they put themselves in the position of postponing everything, then we don't do anything. So, of course, I think the only part that will be a bit affected is the opening, but not because of the number of people, because of the situation itself, because it was booked very soon and then fully booked. But those number of people won't be there altogether, so they will be there in slots. But I think that in the 10 days that the show is running, I think that more or less the same number of people will attend the exhibition. So
Over the period of the show?
Over the period, yeah, it's just, of course, something is going to be affected, and it's the opening, but you know, we didn't want to quit anyway, and then there is anyway more chances to do new exhibition in the next future, so with them as well, so no problem.
You just got to keep on, haven't you? You can't keep going on.
And I think, it's also good, you know, for people who love art, you know, to have an exhibition that we spend time and energy, and so that's something good in to attend in this moment, you know, so I think that's fine, you know.
One final question: how do you describe your work? So when people ask, you know, what sort of, how do you describe yourself, and how do you describe your work?
I mean, I describe my work as, I mean, I'm mostly in portraits, so they are just an attempt to talk about, I think, human soul through physical people, and probably I talk about myself through people. So there's a kind of also a part of mystery into that I don't know either, you know. But yeah, in the studio work, I'm also developing different things like landscapes in my style, and so I'm not just into portrait. But yes, I'm fascinated by the human figure in general.
I've seen the landscapes. You know, where was I say? It must have been Instagram, but it was such a shock because it is quite a divergence for you. How have you been finding doing the landscapes? How has that been for you?
You know, sometimes there are some moments that you just experiment. I'm really into that, into experimenting. I mean, what happened now is not gonna be the same. I mean, you in 10 years you'll see that's me, but it's not gonna be the same stuff. It's the same thing if you check the pictures you took in the street of my early stuff. I think you see there's a difference, an evolution in style.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's why. So I'm very into experimenting and in studio work. So that's just the result of trying different things and developing things. Yeah, it's very easy, much easier than you may think. Yeah.
ALO, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.